Mr Speaker.
Jono, Materia Ture.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Get in early. Mr Speaker, the Green Party supports this legislation. It's been a long time coming that essentially the time be cashed up and made available to political parties to spend more wisely, especially in the new digital age. This seems to be just a natural kind of progression and change in the law to meet the new challenges and the new opportunities of the 21st century. So I won't go on too long, but I would just say, in response to some of the comments made about Television New Zealand and their submission, TVNZ have been wanting for a long time to get rid of the opening and closing broadcasts. I mean, they've been arguing for some elections now that they shouldn't have to provide this service as part of their civic responsibility. I disagree. I think that the arguments have always been poor. That, in fact, as a public broadcaster, they do have a responsibility to assist with the right of citizens to access good quality information, free from interference about the electoral system and the system of governance that they have, and that TVNZ might want to prefer to reduce access to that information. And there's a part of me actually that kind of is reluctant about this bill because I want to force them to have to engage with their civic responsibility as a public broadcaster. I don't really want to let them off the hook. Well, they are TVNZ, they are publicly funded, they have a responsibility, and I think that you can have your opinion and your say in time, sir. But the whole point...
I remind the member.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. So there's a part of me that's a little reluctant to let them off the hook. But nonetheless, they may well be hoisted by their own petard, given that the whole point of this shift is to allow parties to move away from TV to some of the more accessible and modern digital communication channels that we have available to us. I do note that I'm pleased about the increase in funding. There's no doubt that the bulk of that will go to Labour and National because of the way the rules allocate that funding. We have long argued that the allocation system is unfair because of that, and there are ongoing issues with that which will have to be addressed at some point. It won't be addressed through this legislation, but there is an unfair allocation process. And so we also accept that in making this change, those of us who are medium-sized parties and the smaller parties certainly won't get the bulk of the benefit of this change. But nonetheless, it is necessary and needs to happen, and so we support the legislation. Thank you, Mr Speaker.